Hey folks, you're OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of the AOWO X6 Sports smartwatch. You guys might remember that we reviewed the EX16 or the X5 previously, and the X6 is meant as a more premium alternative to that model. It's sleeker, it's smaller, and it just feels better built. And as a result, it's slightly pricier as well, coming in at around 35 bucks as opposed to 25. And that goes into having an aluminum frame that's constructed out of metal and also a tempered glass finish on the front as opposed to being plastic. It's also smaller and more compact. However, it has all the same functionality from the sensors on board to the same type of display to the same type of fitness tracking. So there's no added features from a UI perspective. So taking a closer look at the packaging first, you just get a very simple box. It comes in a few different color models, and you can see that it tracks your steps, calories burned, distance, and you can also use it to set alarms and see notifications. Aside from this, there's also an instruction manual that's documented in full color, and that's it. Now, this is because just like the X5, the X6 is a very simple smartwatch. There's no ability for you to charge it or recharge it. It actually uses a cell-based CR2032 battery. Unlike the X5, the X6 has a more traditional capacity of roughly 300 milliamp hours, which will get you about 1 year of use before you need to replace the battery on the back here, compared to 2 years on the X5. So the bulkier size means that there's a larger pack on that variant. So this one trades a style for slightly less battery capacity. Otherwise, you can turn the unit on just by tapping on the two keys which are diagonal. Long holding on it for a few seconds will turn it on. I can also tap on these two keys for a few seconds more to turn it completely off to conserve on battery. As you can see here, this is a very simple smartwatch. It's technically always on, and it has a transflective LCD screen that remains visible even under extreme lighting environments, which is good. Otherwise, you just have a digital display of your time, steps, calories, and the very top here flashes a Bluetooth logo, and that means it's in the pairing mode. I can long press to turn off Bluetooth completely, again to conserve on battery. So once paired using Bluetooth to an Android or an iOS smartphone, it allows me to transfer data such as steps, calories burned, things like that. And using the phone, I can know if there's any new notifications. If I have a missed call, the call logo on the bottom here will start to flash. If I have a missed text message, email, or social media tweet, the icon on the bottom right-hand corner will start to flash. But aside from flashing and giving you a quick visual indication, there's no way of actually reading the message. So it's more like a glance watch than a true smartwatch, which can run advanced apps like Android Wear. Otherwise, again, additional icons can be displayed for the specific mode that the watch is in, and it can also act as a remote selfie control for your phone. So you can tap on a key to take an image for your smartphone, which is pretty cool. Now, I can tap once on the top left key to turn on the backlight. It's pretty weak under direct sunlight, of course, but if we kind of dim the lights in the environment, it has kind of a greenish tint to it, and it becomes much more visible. If you're in low light environments, it makes it possible to still see the display. Otherwise, on the bottom here, I can tap this key to cycle through the various modes, such as taking a look at the month as well as the day. And here I can take a look at the number of steps I've taken. Here I can see a number of calories burned and the distance converted from that. Finally, I can take a look at my alarms, which I can program, and the sound here is just a beep that you hear. There's no way to change that sound. And of course, I can take a look at a stopwatch/timer before going back into the regular clock display. So a very simple and straightforward function without too many extras, and the kind of ring around here that tells you basic kind of information is just for decorative purposes. It doesn't really do anything. On the right here, these two controls are for cycling through specific modes, such as setting up the time or going through the alarm, and afterwards when you're in the main screen, it doesn't actually do anything. So pretty simple. Again, not too many features going on here, just like with the X5. The build quality here is definitely the thing that's been highlighted and upgraded the most. I'm a huge fan of how it looks now. I feel like it feels quite premium, and it's comfortable to wear as well because it remains fairly sleek and elegant. The bottom here also features two rings that you can pull to change out the the straps. So even though it comes with this kind of a dramatic looking red and black version that we have here for review purposes, you can also switch this out for other bands if this one gets worn out, or if you want to change the color and the design. As a whole, the watch is comfortable to wear and reasonably hefty, but not being overly heavy either. If we compare in terms of size to something like the Xiaomi Amazfit Bip, you can see that it's not too bad, especially for one that has a pretty long battery life of 1 year, where you don't have to charge it daily or anything like that when the battery is still in there. So pretty impressive in that regard. But again, there are no advanced features like heart rate monitoring, sleep tracking. You do lose some of those other neat tricks and features from a real smartwatch, but this one gives you long battery life, and also in the X6's case, a very good build quality that I'm a huge fan of. So let's take a closer look at the app next. The app is the same as the version for the X5. It's called Sports Plus, and it's available both in the iOS and Android store. When you first download it, it's going to prompt you to set up an account to store your information to the cloud, so you need your email and also create a password. Afterwards, you can find your watch just by easily pairing it. This is just called the X Watch, it seems, by name and branding, and then you can tap on it and it pairs instantly and calibrates the time accordingly, so you can see that it now shows the correct day of the week and the time as well to match what's on the phone. Tapping on back here, I can also take a look at my user profile, so I can change things like my height, my stride length, my gender, and that will allow the sensor to be a bit more calibrated to me. So people with a longer stride length won't be recording extra steps when they're moving around. So that's a pretty useful feature. Under settings, I can also take a look at what apps I want notifications to be pushed through, such as Twitter, WeChat, emails, SMS, things like that. And I can also take a look at firmware version. The main interface here is very simple and straightforward. I just have the day of the week and number of steps I've taken out of a daily goal. Finally, there's also going to be a graph view that shows off how much steps I've taken throughout a specific point in time, and also the same thing in a week and also in a month. So very simple, and once it's stored to the cloud, data will always be there backed up. But that's essentially all you can do. You can see that I can push down to refresh information, but there's nothing else in terms of sleep tracking or heart rate. It's just very simple for steps, calories burned, and distance walked, which it actually does a pretty accurate job of, but again, it's pretty basic as far as fitness goes. Tapping on the kind of camera key on the top here brings up the viewfinder with the phone, and from here you can see that the kind of selfie remote icon will be flashing, and I can very quickly tap on it once to capture a shot. So this makes it easier to capture images with friends and family without you having to hold the phone very still and then reach for that icon. So a pretty nifty extra feature that they threw in, and that's essentially it. So very simple and very basic. When it comes to the accuracy again of the sensor in terms of steps taken and also calories burned, fairly accurate. It doesn't really accidentally trigger or record extra steps. It uses a 3D sensor for the accelerometer that does a decent job, and it's very similar to the results I found with the Xiaomi Amazfit Bip, which is my current daily driver, and other fitness trackers I compared it with. So the data remains fairly consistent. You can see that the inverted display again is also very readable even when there's background light, just because it uses this transflective technology, which I think makes a lot of sense. An always-on display is also quite handy, where you don't have to use gestures or rely on keys to take a look at what time it is. So it's quite convenient to use in the day-to-day. The X6 is also a waterproof smartwatch, so you can use it when you are taking a shower or going for a swim, which is also, again, very handy. Finally, for a comparison with the X5, you can get a better idea of really the size difference. The X5 is way chunkier, and as a whole, I just feel like the X6 will be a better fit for most folks out there. Even though it's slightly more expensive, the build quality is not only stronger, the size is a lot sleeker, and as a whole, I feel like it's easier to carry and to use without accidentally hitting parts of your computer if you're typing, or just being an obstructive component if you are just going through your day-to-day. So this makes a lot more sense in my opinion. So overall, I'm pleased with the performance, the design of the X6, and I think that this is a good entry-level smartwatch if you're looking for an always-on smartwatch that gets the essentials done, but doesn't give you too many extras. It does tell you when you have new notifications coming in, but it's more of a glance watch where you have to rely on the phone for a more accurate reading of what that notification is. However, it shows you your time, date, steps, calories burned, all that information without any issues, and the keys here are responsive, and again, the long battery life is also a plus. You can check out more details in our official written review, but for now, this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. This has been our video review of the AOWO X6 Sports Smartwatch.